I'm at my limit. I want to run away. Solo parenting, caring for my father-in-law, and taking care of my husband and mother-in-law on top of household chores left me exhausted to the point of feeling dizzy. But my husband,
I'm going on a trip overseas for a change of pace,
said and left. Why do I have to do everything alone? At that moment, a warm hand was placed on my tearful head. My name is Shane, a 31-year-old housewife. Married to my husband Keith for 4 years. We just had our first child last year. Just as I was planning to return to work when my child turned 1 year old, I was called by my in-laws. My in-laws' house is about a 30-minute drive away. It's a bit complicated to get there by train, and traveling by public transportation with a baby is tough. So I asked my husband if we could go by car.
Gas prices are going up, and taking the train is easier, so let's take the train,
he insisted. When I asked if he would carry the baby since traveling with a baby is cumbersome.
Why do I have to do that? Isn't it the mother's job?
I was once again rejected. Even though I thought he would help me if I looked like I was having a hard time, I was wrong. Even though I was exhausted from carrying the baby and the heavy luggage, my husband didn't even glance at me. As for his luggage, he only stuffed his wallet and phone in his pockets. He didn't even bring a bag. Despite that, he didn't help, and instead,
hurry up or I'll leave you behind,
he walked away alone. I always knew he wouldn't do anything, but I was disappointed to find out it was to this extent. I wondered if things would change once the child grew a bit and started talking, and started calling him Dad, but I stopped hoping and told myself. For now, I just focused on getting to my in-laws' house as soon as possible. You're late. What took you so long? As soon as I arrived after my husband, my mother-in-law said that. There were a lot of people, I wanted to say, but my mother-in-law said, hurry up and come in. Honestly, I'm tired of waiting. And went back into the house early. Holding the baby and a large amount of luggage, I was left behind. My mother-in-law always treated me coldly. Even when I came to my in-laws' house, I was ignored to the point of being asked, "Oh, were you here?" As I tried to enter the living room, my husband, who had arrived first, was already lying on the sofa playing with his phone. When I looked around for my stern-faced father-in-law, who usually sits down, my mother-in-law replied, "He's not here." Really? That's why I called you today. Keith, listen carefully.
Yeah.
Even though he was being scolded by his mother, my husband didn't look up from his phone and replied casually. Without paying attention to my concern, my mother-in-law looked at me and said, "My husband is in the hospital with a leg injury." She said. What? Hospitalized? I was surprised to hear something new. My husband also looked up for a moment. But he quickly returned his gaze to his phone. He is also getting older, you know. He slipped on the stairs and couldn't move. But even so, it's just a fracture in the leg, so the hospital stay won't be prolonged. Huh? My in-laws married late, and my husband is their only son born from an elderly pregnancy. So, even though my in-laws are already in their 70s, I thought they were still healthy. That's tough. I'm glad it's not serious. But the conversation with my mother-in-law after that wasn't good. The doctor says it will probably take some time for him to walk properly again. So, he'll be bedridden. So, please help us. Huh? When I said that he couldn't move as he once must be tough, my mother-in-law asked for our help calmly. To my puzzled look, my mother-in-law said, "I can't handle it alone. Keith, help us too. So, we're moving into your apartment." What? I was shocked by the sudden news and raised my voice. But it seemed that only I was surprised. My husband,
Oh, okay. We have extra rooms anyway.
easily accepted it. Wait a minute, Keith. While I was in a hurry, I thought you would say that. My mother-in-law seemed happy. I thought Keith would say that, so I've already arranged for the move. Huh? The movers will come tomorrow, so be ready. Wait a minute, please. I couldn't keep up with the sudden facts one after another. But my husband
Sure, got it.
just accepted it without a care in the world. Thank you. And my mother-in-law smiled too. I was completely dumbfounded. What's going on? Are these two crazy? In the end, I was too busy dealing with the crying baby to have a detailed conversation and ended up going home without being able to explain much. Of course, even on the way back, my husband didn't help and went home alone. I wonder if it'll be okay. I just feel anxious. And that anxiety turned out to be right. In the days of solo parenting, I received a mountain of orders from my mother-in-law, who started living together. "Hey, Shane, my husband is calling you. The house is not tidy. Do the dishes right away. Can you go shopping? Massage my shoulders, I'm tired. I'm hungry, make dinner." I'm not her wife. No, even if I were, please move a little. I think those things, but I can't say it. I want to say it, but I don't have the energy or strength to say it. Even though we started living together, my husband remained the same as before, lying comfortably alone, either watching TV or playing with his phone. And
I'm hungry.
he says the same thing as his mother. As for me, I'm busy with household chores while carrying the baby on my back. And then, my husband needs to go to the bathroom. There's also the care of my father-in-law who was discharged from the hospital. I thought my mother-in-law, who gave birth to my husband at an older age, would at least take care of my father-in-law? Well, she didn't. Like mother, like son, they're just alike. They're both expecting me to do everything.
I'm sorry, Shane.
My father-in-law was the only one who thanked me for running around. Without him, my mental state would have collapsed long ago. "Shane, the rice isn't cooked yet." "Sorry, please turn on the switch." "Do it yourself," my mother-in-law said, laughing loudly as she watched TV.
Hey, Shane, prepare my bag for the business trip tomorrow.
"Sorry, I'm still making baby food." "Do it yourself."
Ha! Hey, who do you think is supporting our lives? Do it. You're useless.
Saying that my husband opens his phone. In addition, the baby on my back starts crying. This is probably a diaper change. My hair is messy, and I've probably been wearing the same clothes for days. The laundry is piled up and scattered without being folded. I don't have time to clean up, and the garbage is scattered. Seeing that, my mother-in-law shouts again, "Clean up." Hey, is this some kind of punishment? Did I do something wrong in my past life, Lord? My mental and physical strength were on the verge of collapse.
I'm really sorry. Shane, thank you as always. I'll rehabilitate quickly and be able to walk soon.
It's okay. Please rest slowly now. If you try to recover quickly, it will only make things worse. My father-in-law's kind words touched my heart. But really, I'm at my limit. The baby's crying at night is severe, and the lack of sleep is making it worse. Late at night, my consciousness is hazy as I hold the finally asleep baby. I'm struggling not to drop the baby, but my husband
Shut up.
shouts angrily and kicks me and the baby out of the bedroom to sleep alone. My mother-in-law is also sleeping soundly in a separate room from my father-in-law, enjoying her peace. Achoo. Although it's gotten warmer lately, nights are still cold. I'm making sure to keep the baby warm to prevent catching a cold, but I tend to neglect myself. I sigh deeply, thinking that maybe other mothers feel the same way. Outside the window, the dawn is breaking, signaling another busy day ahead, which fills me with dread. In the end, I couldn't sleep at all. The well-rested faces of my husband and mother-in-law wake up with a refreshed look.
What? My breakfast isn't ready yet?
Without even saying good morning, I'm tired of hearing that as the first thing. What will they do if I decide to leave this house? Even though I know I can't do that, I still think about it. No, I can't. Even if I leave, how will I survive? I don't have parents anymore, and I don't have siblings to rely on. I don't even have the luxury to start looking for a job. But most importantly, I'm worried about my father-in-law. I don't care about my husband and mother-in-law, but I can't leave my father-in-law behind. Even if I'm not here, my mother-in-law and husband probably won't take care of my father-in-law. I don't even want to think about what will happen after that. What should I do? Achoo. As I sigh and mutter, another sneeze comes out, probably from staying up late.
Gross. Got a cold? Don't give it to me.
To my surprise, these are my husband's words. How heartless can he be? I want to slap the pre-marriage me who thought he was cool and caring. I'm at my limit. I want to run away. As I mutter this, the reality is that I can't run away. I gently lay the sleeping baby on the bed and sluggishly make my way to the kitchen. After making breakfast for the two of them, it's my father-in-law's turn. Then, I'm thinking about all this when my husband speaks up.
Oh, by the way, we're going on a trip starting tomorrow.
Huh? I turn around to see my husband and mother-in-law grinning. What do you mean? I ask.
I said, me and Mom, are going on a trip starting tomorrow.
Huh? Just the two of you?
Yeah, we won't get any rest staying here. The baby is noisy, and you're always busy. We'll go overseas for a change of pace.
What is he talking about? This guy is the most comfortable one in this house, so why is he saying such things? And overseas? Exactly. An unhelpful daughter-in-law is a problem. We'll be back in a while, so take care of things for us. My mother-in-law says gleefully, talking about their trip, and I feel like something inside me is crumbling. And then, the two of them leave for overseas, leaving me, the baby, and my father-in-law behind. My husband seems to have taken some paid leave, and they'll be back in a week. I don't care anymore. The moment I see them off, I stop caring about anything. Why do they think they're the ones having a hard time, leaving me, who's working the hardest, behind? Why are they capable of such cruelty? I'm the one working the hardest, damn it. As soon as I say that, tears start flowing. Huh? I try to stop them, but they won't stop. Once my tear ducts break, they keep flowing uncontrollably. Sniff. I need to pull myself together. I'm a mother. Even though the baby is crying, I need to go and comfort them. That's what I think, but my body won't move. What a useless person I am. It's at that moment that the baby's cry suddenly stops. What? As I raise my head in surprise, I feel something warm on my head. Looking up, I see my father-in-law sitting next to me, gently patting my head. His hand still has traces of tears, as does my beloved sleeping baby. Oh.
I'm truly sorry. Thank you for working so hard.
Were you able to walk?
Well, not exactly walking, but I can at least crawl now. Ha, I might even be able to compete in crawling with my grandchild.
He says with a gentle smile.
You don't have to work so hard anymore.
But
I'm slowly getting better like this. I'll do as much as I can for myself and help with the housework.
that's really nice.
You don't have to work so hard anymore.
As he says that and pats my head, he feels like a real father to me, and I can't help but burst into tears. I don't have to work so hard anymore. That's the moment I felt liberated. A week later, the sound of the baby's cry echoes through the house. Coming, just a moment. As I rush, my father-in-law's voice comes from behind. It's okay. I'll change the diaper. I peek and see him changing the diaper, humming softly. Relieved, I decided to resume my interrupted lunch. Eating a meal slowly is the best feeling. But as I'm thinking that, my phone rings. It's from my husband. Hello?
Where are you?
So this is the first call after he returned. I can feel his anger through the phone. Where else? At home?
The apartment was empty when we got back.
Well, we moved out.
Moved out?
It's not surprising that my husband is surprised. By now, he and my mother-in-law are probably standing there dumbfounded, facing an empty, clean room.
When did you move out?
I think it was right after you left for your trip.
What? Why did you move without telling me? Come back home quickly.
Impossible. Because we already terminated the lease.
Terminated?
Anyway, we won't have to move out immediately. We're fine until the end of next month, but don't mess up the place until then.
Why did you terminate it on your own?
That's my prerogative. After all, it's the apartment I've been renting since before we got married. Indeed. The apartment has been mine since my single days. I chose a reasonably spacious apartment because I didn't like cramped spaces. When it came to getting married, I thought about what to do, but I ended up continuing to live there. My husband has never paid the rent. Of course.
Since you're the one renting it, you should pay for it.
He said. Similarly, he's never paid for utilities either. I quit my job after giving birth, but I managed to keep paying with my savings until now. You forgot about that too? You used to say stuff like, "Who do you think is supporting our lives?" But who do you think it is? I say, and my husband falls silent, unable to say anything. On the other end of the phone, my mother-in-law shouts, "Hey, Shane, what are you doing on your own?" And she's shouting too. Oh, did you enjoy your trip overseas? You were probably just as lazy there as you are here. That's none of your business. That's right. It's completely irrelevant. It won't be relevant from now on either, so please don't contact me again. What do you mean? I'm talking about divorce. Once we divorce, we're strangers. I have no obligation or duty to take care of you anymore. My husband shouts on the other end of the phone.
Divorce?
Without a husband like you, I can live in peace.
How will you live without an income?
Don't worry about that. I'm already starting to look for a job.
And the child?
I'm looking for a daycare too. Isn't that obvious? My husband trembles on the phone and says,
Where do you find the time?
That means you understand that I'm incredibly busy and don't have time to look for work or daycare, right?
Well,
you understand, yet you do nothing and laze around. And then you go on overseas trips for a change of pace. So that's how it is. Do you think this marriage has any benefit for me? When I asked, my husband fell silent. That's the answer, foolish man. But from behind the fool, another fool, his mother, shouts. Hey, Shane, what happened to my husband? The apartment is empty. That means my father-in-law isn't there either. But don't worry.
I'm here with Shane.
You. My father-in-law calmly says to the surprised mother-in-law.
I've had enough of you.
What are you saying?
So let's get a divorce, shall we?
Huh?
I'll contact you through a lawyer, so let me know when you found a new place.
Wait a minute, please don't leave me.
What are you saying? I'm not leaving you.
What?
I'm just throwing away the trash that's a wife who neglects her husband.
With that, my father-in-law headed towards the nursery. Silence continues on the phone. Is my mother-in-law in shock? I wonder. Hello?
Yes.
It seems my husband isn't collapsed, as a feeble voice responds. As my father-in-law mentioned, I'd like to discuss divorce through a lawyer.
Okay.
I'll contact you again, so please prepare compensation and child support.
Compensation? I understand child support, but why compensation?
Because I've suffered emotional distress.
But even I.
What about you? I wait for my husband's response to my emotional distress, but there's silence. Nothing at all. Well, that's to be expected. Living freely as he pleased, he couldn't have experienced any distress. I've kept a record of everything you've done, or rather, haven't done, every day. I heard that having a diary can work in your favor during a divorce. I intended it as a record of our child's growth, but well, I'm glad I did. Whether you did something or not, it's all written down, so it's clear that you did nothing.
I messed up.
Finally, an apology comes from my husband.
I messed up. From now on, I'll take care of our son properly and help with household chores. So,
who are you going to take care of?
our son.
I see, our son, but who is that? It's not like we have a son. How can you take care of a non-existent child? I take a deep breath and say, our child is a girl. Forget about the child's gender. Are you insane for not remembering her name? And I shout, feeling exasperated.
Ha! Didn't you say it was a boy during pregnancy?
The doctor misunderstood the ultrasound. It was in a difficult to see position. You don't even remember our daughter's name, do you? That's why you got the gender wrong.
Oh, I remember. It's hard to tell the gender. Sam.
It's Sunny. I yell and hang up. I turn off my phone because I'm so angry. I'll have to keep in touch in the future, but once everything's settled, I'll block them. It's unbelievable that he misunderstood even the gender. But that's because my husband has never interacted with the child. Come to think of it, he's never changed diapers or even held the child. In fact, he's never even called her name. I laugh bitterly at the thought of marrying such a fool. Afterward, my father-in-law knew a competent lawyer, so we asked him to handle the divorce between my father-in-law and me. My husband and mother-in-law called like crazy, but I ignored everything except for essential matters. The divorce between us and my in-laws was finalized. I received a lump sum of compensation and child support from my pitiful husband. Otherwise, I threatened not to let him see the child again. I still have the right to see her, after all. I thought he would insist on paying in installments because he didn't want to see her, but surprisingly, my husband accepted. He must have been shocked. It's too late for him to regret now, the divorce and mistaking the child's gender. My mother-in-law kept begging my father-in-law until the end, but since our marriage had already collapsed, it was finalized. Property was divided, but since my mother-in-law had squandered money on overseas trips and such, my father-in-law ended up with more. My husband, penniless after the lump sum payment, and my mother-in-law, living off her pension, ended up seeking refuge together in a cheap, run-down apartment. My daughter and I are doing well in our new home. My father-in-law, who could only crawl at first, gradually learned to stand and now can walk fairly well with a cane. It's heartwarming that he reached that stage around the same time as my daughter, who learned to touch from crawling. My father-in-law seems happy too.
Someday, let's go for a walk together, Sunny.
And my father-in-law says that, whether my daughter understands it or not, she smiles and says,
Ah.
It's good to work hard, but overdoing it isn't good. I recently got a new job, but I rely on daycare and public institutions without hesitation. If I'm smiling, my daughter will smile too. How was this story? Please subscribe to the channel. Well then, see you in the next video.